So I was happy but then sad, and I cried my tears out. Hey guys, welcome back to Crazy Treasures. I am still pretty sick, so I have been chilling in my bedroom. So bear with me while I try to get through this video and talk with you guys. My nose is so stuffy right now and I feel like it is running like a freaking faucet, but don't worry, if I have to blow my nose, I will do it off camera. How is everyone doing? Is anyone sick like me? I know a cold is going around and it's just getting everyone sick. I'm going to try to make it through this video without completely falling apart. First of all, I wanted to say thank you for the love and support as always, and everyone who has been watching me since day one. And thank you for anyone that is a new subscriber. I appreciate all of your guys' love and support. For the new followers, this story I would love to share with you guys. So all of you guys know that I have a daughter and her name is Scarlett. She is 6 years old now. Let's go back in time before she was even a thought. So just to sum it up real quick, and then I will go into detail. I have technically been pregnant 3 times, and I call Scarlett my sandwich because she was in the middle of everything. So I want to say I was just in my early 20s and I found out I was pregnant for the very, very first time. And to sum it all up as well, all 3 of these pregnancies that I've had was with the same dad. So I know up until this day there's like some confusion and whatnot, so I'm gonna lay it out on the table. I was going to college. I still lived at home. I had actually just recently moved back home because my parents were like, I missed you so much, why don't you just move in or back in and just focus on school and yada yada yada. And I was like, okay. And of course I miss being home. So next thing you know, I was living in a studio apartment, and I believe it was only like $500 a month or something. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I would kill to pay that right now versus what it is now for rent. Next thing you know, we were packing my stuff and I was moving back in home. At the time, I was working 2 jobs and then going to college. So I definitely had a lot on my plate and I love staying busy. So it was really good for me, and figuring out what I wanted to do for the rest of my life is how I like to think of it. I moved back in, and that's when I found out I was pregnant. And so I went into the store and got pregnancy tests. I went to the bathroom and I did my business, and the test came back positive, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, is this really a thing? How do I even tell my parents? Like, what do I do? And I know they say it's always accurate in the morning, so I believe the other one I did take the next morning just to make sure before I even said anything. And then the next day came, and I was going to college, and I remember having the class, and then a break in between before I had my other classes, and I come home to eat, and my mom's awake. She, you know, saying good morning and stuff, or good afternoon, I can't remember, but we were saying like our hellos, and like in the back of my mind I was like, I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant, I'm pregnant. Like, how do I tell my mom? Crystal. And so I was scared. I was so scared, you know. I'm pretty sure I was 21. I'm pretty sure I was 21. In the back of my mind, I was like, I have to tell her, because my mom and I were actually planning to get our first ever like laser hair removal session done. And I remember that it was scheduled in March. I probably told her in February, which is this month, which is crazy now that I'm actually like talking about it. And and so in the back of my mind, I was like, I have to tell her, because then I can't go to that appointment, and she's gonna be like, well, why? Like, we planned this, like we were gonna do it together. And so that was my way in of just be like, I can't go, Mom, and it's because I'm pregnant. I'm pretty sure that's how I like straight up told her. And she was so excited, and she's like, oh my gosh, like I'm gonna be a grandma. And in my mind I'm like, no, like I'm not ready, and da 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 da, you know. So she was really excited, and I was like, it's the first thing she said. She was just like, does so-and-so know? And I was like, no. Like, and I was like, how do I tell him? Do I just straight up call him? Like, he's gonna know. Like, I want to sit down and tell him. So I remember calling him, and I think I just finished eating at home, and then I headed to my first class. And before I headed over to my first class, I said, screw it, I'm just gonna call him, because then it's just gonna be on my mind. I'm not gonna be focused in class. So I ring-a-ding-ding, and I was like, hey. And right then and there, he knew. He was just like, yeah, like, is everything okay? And I was like, yeah, everything's fine. He was just like, are you pregnant? And I couldn't lie to him, you know, like, he already asked the question. So I was like, yeah, I'm pregnant. And then we started talking about it, and he was actually really excited. And I was like, okay, well, I gotta go, like, I'm going into class. And he's like, okay, blah blah blah. We ended that conversation, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, it was still on my mind, you know, and when I was in my class. So my first pregnancy, the actual name of it is called an ectopic pregnancy. And I actually found my binder where I keep important stuff in it, and I was going through it, and I did not keep the papers for when they discharged me. Yes, I keep stuff like that. Don't come at me. Just because it's such a tragic incident that happened in your life, and I don't know, I feel like that kind of stuff I want to keep kind of, you know. So I couldn't find, like I said, the papers on my first ectopic pregnancy, but I found the other one, my last pregnancy, because I had Scarlett and then I had another ectopic pregnancy. And I was just like looking at the dates, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I was just reading it, and I wanted to share a piece with you guys. So, to sum it up, for the people that don't know what an ectopic pregnancy, I'm just going to read it from right here. And so the definition is literally right here. It says an ectopic pregnancy is when the fertilized egg attaches, implants, outside the uterus. Most ectopic pregnancies occur in one of the tubes where eggs travel from the ovary to the uterus, your fallopian tubes, because us women have two of them. But the implanting can occur in other locations. In rare cases, ectopic pregnancies occur on the ovary, what's folded, intestine, pelvis, abdomen, or cervix. In an ectopic pregnancy, the fertilized egg does not have the ability to develop into a normal, healthy baby. Hopefully that explains. So the baby tried to, you know, get created in one of my fallopian tubes, and it said no, no, no. And they caught it in time, and they were able to flush it out, the egg. And I was lucky enough that the doctors caught it in time, and everything was able to get flushed out. I was on Bestred, I believe, for like, I think it was like 6 days. And I remember Ariana and Hannah were the sweetest sisters, and they took care of me, and I literally just laid in bed, kind of like today, other than this. And anything I needed, they got for me. I remember at one point, I don't know if it was Hannah that was painting my toes and Ariana that was painting my fingernails. And then they braided my hair. I think I have like a little clip or even like a picture I can probably show you guys. They were just so sweet, and if I needed anything, you know, my mom was just down the hall. So that's what happened with my first ever pregnancy, and like I said, I believe I was 21 if I can remember my timeline right. Fast forward, it is 2017 and I have Scarlett. She was born on November 4th of 2017 and she was 6 pounds. So that was 2017 and I believe I was 22 at the time. So I was 22 when I had Scarlett. How old were you when you had your first baby? Fast forward, it is 2019 and I have paper documents. I kept my last one, my last discharge papers of my ectopic pregnancy, and at the very bottom it shows the date, and it was January of 2019. So a couple years go by. January, I was still 23 going on 24, and I had once again another ectopic pregnancy, and this one was beyond painful. The first one, easy peasy lemon squeezy. It did scare me. Let me backtrack a little bit. When I found out I was pregnant, I finally accepted that I was going to be a mom. So I was happy but then sad, and I cried my tears out when I knew that it wasn't meant to be. Fast forward, 2019, as I said, I was 23 going on 24, and this one, I was working at a dealership and I was bringing in the cars. I was a porter and I was just having like this major pain, like my lower abdominal pain. I had just got done parking a truck. And I was like, boss, can I go to the bathroom? Like, I really have to go. And he was like, yeah. I was like, holy cow, like, what is this pain? What is going on? And I kid you not, I make it into the bathroom, and that's it. I start hyperventilating, and I'm sweating. I'm like drenched in sweat. I can't even stand all the way. Next thing you know, I'm on the floor, on the bathroom floor, and freaking dirty, right? But I did not care when you're in so much pain, like nothing around you matters. And I'm just laying there, and it just felt so good. And I was trying to get to the stall so that I could go pee. And there was like some girl, she's like, oh my gosh, like, do you want me to go get your boss? My boss didn't come in, it was the boss that worked in the shop for the cars. And he was like, oh my gosh, like, do I need to call 911 and get the ambulance? And I was like, yes, like, I can't even get up. And so 911 gets called, and next thing you know, the ambulance comes, and they put me on a cot, and I get let out to the ambulance. And the ambulance drives me to the nearest hospital. They put me in a wheelchair. And I just felt so nauseous and so sick. And they were trying to get a room ready because all the rooms were occupied at the time to see a doctor. And I just remember sitting and waiting, and I was like, I feel like crap. And like, next thing you know, I just throw up everywhere. After I threw up, not too long after that, they were able to put me in a room. I just remember that Scarlett's dad, he eventually arrived to the hospital, and I was in the back room, and I took a pee test. They checked me in, blah blah blah, did the paperwork, and I'm wheeled back out, and I'm sitting in the waiting room, and the doctor calls me to the back room, asked if you think he asked me a couple questions, and one of the questions was like, do you think you might be pregnant? And I was like, no. And I was like, well, maybe. And so He got back the pregnancy test. He wheels me back out. Okay, I'm in a wheelchair and I'm waiting. Then they call me again. They got the P test, and he was like, it's saying that you are pregnant. And I was really excited to actually have another baby. And I go back and I tell Scarlett's dad, and I'm like, hey, guess what? Like, I'm pregnant and I'm so excited. And he was just like, babe, like, I'm so excited for you, but we have to think about it. Like, if we're at the hospital, it's probably not a good thing. And like, I'm here for you, but I just don't want you to get your hopes up. And I was like, yeah, yes, that's understandable. I just remember them bringing us both back and saying it's an ectopic pregnancy. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, here we go again. Like, I know what this is. And he was like, I have to do surgery on you soon, or if I don't, it's going to erupt and I could, okay? And I was just like, oh my gosh. So I was really nervous, but I was like, it is what it is. Like, if surgery is going to save me, I have to do this. So I remember they were pushing me on a bed, and they're like, what's your name? What's your first and last name? What's your date of birth? That's all I remember. And I remember just like looking up, you know, when you look up, the lights are bright and white like this. And I'm just like, my name's Melinda Reese. My birthday is 3/27/95. And after I said my birthday, I was out. I was put to sleep. And they removed my right fallopian tube. And now I only have my left one. So I have a little scar on my stomach on my left side, and I actually found the picture, but I'm not going to show you. That's a little graphic. I was sleeping so good, and next thing you know, I woke up, and the only way, I just remember when the doctor woke me up, he goes, Melinda, and I'm like, oh man, I was like, that was some good sleep. And he was like, we just kind of like laughed about it, you know. And that was my second ectopic pregnancy. So now to explain it to people, I say Scarlett was my sandwich, because I had an ectopic, I had Scarlett, and then I had another ectopic pregnancy. And there you guys know what I went through, and anyone that's been through this understands. And I know there is probably some confusion at one point. I never was pregnant after Scarlett. When I had my ex, if you guys know, you know, I was trying to see if I was at high risk of getting pregnant or if it was just a low risk, because there's high, moderate, and then low. And that's when I went to the doctors and had an appointment, and they said, you're actually really low, and if you do want to get pregnant, then we just have to monitor everything. I am still very scared to get pregnant. It's the last thing that's on my mind right now. My answer that I will always have, for now at least, is I'm just focusing on Scarlett, and who knows what the future will hold. But to be honest, this year I'm gonna be 29. And I don't know, I just feel I probably don't want any more kids after the age of 30. I could adopt, but right now just focusing on Scarlett, and that's okay. And like, come on you guys, like, I come from a really big family. I have a lot of cousins, and my siblings, like, we're technically, there's 17 of us, brothers and sisters, not including cousins. I think I have like 21 cousins or something. Like, I'm happy with the big family that I have now. And I know my mom wants me to have more kids, but right now it's still the same answer. So that's the whole scoop of my times that I have been pregnant. And I'm so happy that I got to share this with you guys. I'm gonna wrap it up here. It's time to go get Scarlett from school. I'm so excited to see her. She has been amazing at just being so good and just so thoughtful, knowing that I am sick. I'm glad. She is amazing, and I love her to death. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'm gonna go get my little one from school. I hope you guys have a good day today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.